he seems to be contending that Jesus was not trying to get himself killed. And Orthodox Christian take on things is that Jesus knew he was going, not only knew he was going to be killed, but was intending to be killed as part of the grand master plan of salvation. The Synoptic Gospels have multiple times where Jesus predicts what's going to happen in advance. There are 3 passion predictions in Mark's Gospel. We're on the way when he's teaching. He pulls the disciples aside and says, I'm going up to Jerusalem where the Son of Man will be arrested and crucified on the 3rd day rise. So Protestant seems to be taking exception with that foreknowledge and intent of Jesus, and suggesting that he, like any normal person who is discontented with the political situation, didn't go to that demonstration expecting to get killed. What do you think?
Ignoring He's ignoring an awful lot of it.
Well, but
what is
your actions could bring. I mean, if you're acting like that, the people that are occupying Wall Street know that they probably will get arrested. I mean, there's been moves afoot to arrest them and to do different things. And his actions, when you do certain actions, you know that you're putting yourself at risk. And, I'm going up against the forces that be. Chances are.
Yeah, even chances are a little different than the typical Orthodox take that this is all part of Jesus' plan. And this was kind of a role play that he was doing, with an end that was already planned.
I think the exact quote is that behold, your king is coming to you riding on. So that's a statement right there. He's making a claim to kingship while following that role. And then the other thing is, there's nothing unusual about him spending the night outside of Jerusalem. And it's a 30,000 person town that on festivals went up to 120,000. And everybody camped outside.
All the
hotels are full. You camp in the hills. Yeah, the caravan is there. Everybody's filled up. It's a tourist town. You can't get a place to stay. And tourists from various regions camp usually together at various known spots. So there's nothing unusual about him leaving the city at night. That says nothing about it.
Not to mention the fact that city life in ancient times was not exactly the most luxurious.
Or fitting his lifestyle, shall we say. But yeah, so he's kind of pushing things to the direction he wants.
Yeah.
I think that's the very conventional interpretation. And it just doesn't ring true. You're stuck either accepting the gospel literally or figuratively. And you accept it literally, then you begin to run into problems and compare 4 stories apart with different events. I think the idea that Jesus knew in advance that this was his plan, his destiny, cheapens it. That's the way I should see it. If you know everything that's going to happen, then there is no sacrifice. Sure.
The idea that it's a setup.
It's what it is.
That what's his name in Oakland? He ran out there and actually intended to get whacked in the head with the tear gas. Intentionally trying to get yourself hurt to make a show of it. So,
Well, wouldn't that be what Ross is talking about? Intentionally agitate?
yeah, he is very specifically suggesting that Jesus going to Jerusalem for what we call Holy Week was a political act of defiance, not only to the Roman occupation, but to the powers that be, the religious authorities who collaborated with Rome.
Well, couldn't you say that if he had that much forethought that maybe he knew he was going to keep pushing it until things are going to go his way?
It's difficult to try to read the mind of Jesus. That's a little bit above our pay grade for the most part. But we speculate, and I think the early Christian church, tried to put it all together too. If this was God's plan for salvation, and much of Scripture is described that way, then was Jesus in on the plan? And if Jesus is divine, right, the Trinity and all that, if Jesus is divine, did he know the plan, the foreknowledge from way back? And, was crossing is questioning all of that stuff because he sees what Jesus does on Sunday and Monday, Holy Week, as political acts, as acts of defiance to the powers that be.